Alright, friends, welcome to Classics in Color, your weekly dive into some of the ancient world's wackiest facts. I'm Marc Graves. Today I want to talk to you guys about how to say the F word in Latin, but part 2 with a little twist. If you've watched my other video on this topic, you know that Latin has a pretty distinct distinction between being the top in a sexual encounter, being the bottom, being the active partner, and being more passive. And in that video I talked about most of the words that relate to being active, being on top, giving it to somebody. And in this video we're going to talk about the opposite of that, about being passive and of getting some. And as always, if you have further questions on this, I definitely recommend checking out Adam's The Latin Sexual Vocabulary. Great resource for all your strange vocabulary interests. So first I want to talk about the root fel, which can be used in both nouns and verb forms, and the noun forms of this are fellator and fellatrix for the feminine, and it refers basically to somebody who performs oral sex, and it can be on men or on women, doesn't matter. As long as you are putting your mouth on somebody's genitals, you are one of these two things. And there's a very disparaging passage about this from Ausonius that goes, "When common Castor wanted to mouth the genitals of men, but was unable to have a crowd of them at home, the mouth effer found that he need to spoil no male genitals. He took to licking his wife's own body." So, interesting quote there. So there's also a verb form of this, which is fello, which is to perform oral sex on someone, and there are many great examples of this quote being used. One of them comes from the epigrams, where he says, "I have given you much that you asked for. I have given you much more than you asked for. Yet you go on and on asking me. Whoever refuses nothing, aticula, sucks." So he uses fellow there. And another great example, again from the epigrams, is she gets down to sex. She doesn't suck men, she thinks that not virile enough, but absolutely devours girls. May the gods give you your present mind, Fellinus, who think that it is manly to lick a cunt, basically. So this is talking about a lesbian, apparently, this lady who thinks that it's not manly enough for her to have sex with men. She only wants to have sex, and especially oral sex, with women. So that's quite fun. And then finally, again from the epigrams, "Since Gala can be effed for 2 gold pieces, and more than effed if you add as many more, why does she get 10 gold pieces a time from you, Aeschylus? Gala sucks for less than that. What then? She keeps mum." Which I have to admit, this now has me curious, like, what the heck is Gala doing that she's getting paid 10, but we'll never know. It's a mystery lost to time, but again, you get to use that fellow word at the end there. She sucks for less than that. So many great examples of this word being used. So another fun one, especially if you're a little bit kinky, is obsequium, and this is a noun that basically means service or obedience. So if you give someone obsequium, you're giving them bottom related sexual duties, maybe oral sex, I'm not sure, it's not totally clear, but an example of this word being used comes from Livy, actually, the historian, and he says that among the charges made against Quinctius by Cato was one of having induced the Carthaginian Philip, an expensive and well-known male prostitute, to come from Rome to his province of Gaul by holding out to him the hope of substantial gifts. Cato claimed that the boy, in playful banter, would often scold the consul for taking him away from Rome right before a gladiatorial show so that he could provide his lover with paid services. So, big scandal that this politician is paying lavish gifts to this foreign male prostitute, and them having some fun little banter. So similar to obsequium is the word Morigeror, and this could be kind of offensive, or you could have a little fun with it, again, if you're a little kinky, but it's up to you. And this is a verb, and it basically means to perform one's wifely duty. So take that how you will. And a great example of this word being used is found in Suetonius's stories about Tiberius. So it goes that when he was left a painting of Parrhasius's depicting Atalanta performing wifely wifely duty on Morigeror with her mouth on condition that if the theme displeased him, he was to have 1,000,000 sesterces instead, but he chose to keep it and actually hung it in his bedroom. So very spicy story about Tiberius, and who knows if it's true or if it's just people hating on Tiberius, which people love to do, but either way the story is great and I'm glad that we have it. So next is Sedeo, which is a real fun one, and it basically means to ride, so kind of obvious where that one is going. And an example of this comes from Ovid's Art of Love, where he's basically giving advice to women on which sexual positions they should use in order to flatter their own features. So depending on what is your best feature, you want to have sex in particular ways. So it goes, let each woman know herself, for your own bodies fix your methods. One fashion does not suit all alike. Let her who is fair of face recline upon her back. Let those whose backs please them be seen from behind. Milanion bore Atlanta's legs upon his shoulders. If they are comely, let them be taken thus. A small woman should ride astride. Because she was tall, his Theban bride never sat Hector like a horse. So if you're tall, don't do cowgirl style, so I guess I never have to do cowgirl again. But anyway, ladies, there is your advice. You don't need Cosmo, just come listen to me talk about Ovid. And finally, I want to talk about Criso, which basically is defined very stuffily as to move the haunches, as in copulation. Thank you, a dictionary. I think we're basically talking about twerking here, and there's a great example of this for being used in Marshall's epigrams. So again, he's talking about this lady and describing how she moves, and he says that her waggles, I don't know why they went with waggles, but okay, her waggles are so tremulous, she tingles so seductively that she would make a masturbator out of Hippolytus himself. And Hippolytus famously was a real sex hater, and he thought he was better than everyone else because he didn't have sex and everybody else was, corrupt. But apparently this lady was so good that even Hippolytus couldn't have resisted. Thank you so much for checking out this video on Latin sexual vocabulary. Big special thank you to all of my subscribers. We passed 2,000 this week, so yay! So cool. And also thank you to Patreon members as always. Thank you so much. And I hope to see all of you again next week. Kairete.